Hello and welcome to a week. It is another week, like all the other weeks, and it is a day that is today. It's today, and it's today of the week, and it's now o'clock. Very important time. Always important to stay in the now o'clock because there's no hour and a half past now or hour and a half before now. Now is now. So, what's going on now? What's going on now is not much different from what was going on before. Okay? Today is yesterday. That's it. Thank you for joining. We're really happy you were here. Hopefully that added a lot of value. Keep going. Um, Same old shit show continues. The Fed's been raising rates, which has caused all this panic in the markets. Now that people are losing their jobs, companies are firing people, blah, blah, blah. Google is laying off 6% of people. Microsoft is laying off 5%. Amazon's laying off 18,000 people. The whole point of them raising the rates is supposed to be that the economy slows down so that they can, kind of control the explosive growth. That's happening now, but are they going to stop raising rates? No. Remember, their motive is to destroy the economy and then buy it back up for pennies on the dollar when people don't have money. So the way they're going to do that is they're going to keep raising rates until something breaks in the system. Has that changed? No. What does that mean, Sim? Okay, what does that mean? In simple terms, we are headed for war. Been saying that since before, but we're even more clearly headed towards that direction because that's one of the best excuses for printing a bunch of money and pumping it into the system where people don't get mad when you're at war. And debt is paid through war. So in simple terms, all of our experts, everybody's clearly saying, okay, you're going to break something in the system, maybe blame it on cyber attacks, which is interesting. When you look at what happened in Bank of America, where a bunch of people's accounts, money was stolen from their accounts through Zelle, which is a payment platform, that's a cyber attack. We had the airlines got cyber attacked and they were grounded for some period of time. So the starting of the cyber attack process is happening. Is it going to get worse? Definitely at some point. Surprise, surprise, there's going to be something big. Could be cyber attacks, could be something else. Who cares? In simple terms, one of the big topics that's being discussed is that volatility is increasing. And volatility is just things pumping and then dumping and pumping and dumping and rinsing and repeating and rinsing and repeating. That is a roller coaster most people can't handle, right? Because once you get used to kind of the consistency that's been there for the last, whatever X amount of years, now volatility is going to increase in the stock markets, in the housing markets, in the crypto markets, in life in general, in food prices and oil prices. Things are going to explode and then they're going to crash and they're going to explode and then they're going to crash. An interesting piece that we discussed last time, but it's even more clear now, is that risk is riding a horse. Risk is like Vladimir Putin, just risk is rising in the credit markets. So the credit spreads are signaling that there's more volatility coming. It's super complicated. I don't even understand it fully, but credit markets are the debt markets, and the debt markets determine the rest of the markets. The way to think about volatility is like, how we think about liquidity as an ocean. Volatility is just saying that the ocean is getting more turbulent, that there's bigger and bigger waves being created out at sea, which means bigger and bigger waves are coming to people. That's how you actually upset people and keep them off their feet. That's probably why we've seen this volatility in Bitcoin, where all of a sudden, out of the blue, it just pumps. That's not how bull runs start, right? Bull runs start because there's a bunch of money that's in the system, there's faith in an asset, and for it to go on those massive kind of like 2020 style bull runs, you need a lot of faith behind it. Right now, nobody's believing in this thing. There is no money in the markets. It's just volatility. So when you see these pumps, don't chase them. Ideally, yeah, if you're a short-term trader, buy it while it's not doing anything and then sell it once it gets to the point where it's at now. But that's probably why Bitcoin is in that volatile state. It's really likely that we are building a range, right? We talked about this last time, that in bear markets, there's a pretty generally flat trend, but it goes like this, right? It goes up and then down and up and then down, kind of keeps it. keeps you on that boat of like, oh my God, it's going to run away, time to buy. Oh my God, it's crashing, it'll probably go lower, time to sell. Oh my God, it's probably going to go up, buy. Oh my God, it's probably going to zero, sell, right? And that's the range that gets made. And in that process, the big money buys because they're smart. They don't worry about the few $1,000s difference. Now, it's becoming more and more clear that the state that we're in now, many of the signals that you would look at normally, like yields inverting and a bunch of other signals, which have been very clear signals of a recession happening, are happening now. Are we in a recession? I mean, look at the world. You know, people don't have jobs. People are going bankrupt. 69 countries ready to go bankrupt. So if, you know, we're in a recession as we could be, it's probably going to go a bit lower. Is this the big one? It's unlikely that this is the big one. Could it be? Yeah, it definitely could be. At this point, nobody really knows. But is it likely that this is the final one where we just fall off of a cliff from here and then stay down for the next 10, 20 years? Probably not, right? And if you're like, stay down for 10, 20 years, what are you talking about, Sim? That never happens. 2000 to 2008, okay? 2008 to 2014, 2015. It happens for quite a while. Actually, 2000 to like 2012-ish, 2014-ish, stocks didn't go anywhere. They just went up, down, right? So that is a process that's going to play out, and that's how this whole reset process happens. Are we in a recession? Yes. Is this likely to be the one that is the end game one? No. So now just looking at this this list, because like we said, we're going to talk about our experts and show what the experts are thinking. As you can see, it's mostly red and yellow with a little bit of green, and we're going to explain what's going on there. So in the very big picture of things, there's big layoffs happening, and the market is being pushed towards war. Surprise, surprise, by design, because war makes a lot of money, a lot of cash. The risk indicator is still in the high. It's still high, which means there's a high risk of crazy shit happening and volatility happening. You know, Heresy Financial is mentioning that the globalization is coming to an end. So this is an important part to remember too, that the world that we've lived in for the last 50 years was this world of increasing globalization. You know, make something in China, ship it to the other side of the world. It's cheaper to make something in China, ship it to the other side of the world rather than produce something locally. Now, supply chains are broken down and countries are falling apart. All of that is leading towards globalization starting to come to an end and localization starting to explode and grow. That's why you got to grow your food locally, source things locally. If you're a business, source your materials locally. Right now, it might be more expensive than getting it from places like China, but as soon as World War III starts, you're going to really appreciate that part. Another big piece is the changing allegiances in the global market. Right now, British, Russia, India, China, South Africa, the Saudis, Dubai, all of them are starting to make like a faction of their own, right? Because they are fighting against the US because they're sick of their bullshit. The US and Europe are like the NATO countries that are put together. South America is going off on its own run. ASEAN is coming together into its own kind of version of a group, right? So everybody's breaking off into factions. Now, we've said this for a long time. The way the world's going, it's going to fracture. Because when the world fractures, currencies fracture, global commerce fractures, then you need a global neutral bridge reserve currency like one that we've mentioned before, a little known XRP that sits in between everybody and allows commerce to happen, but allows everybody to still be fractured off into their different sections. So that's happening. Simply, all of this is bullish for food, energy, and commodities. You know, the real stuff. Wealth. Food feeds people. Energy runs the entire world. Commodities are literally every single thing that we touch. So those things are going to win out over the long term. Even in crashes and all that kind of stuff, real wealth becomes the most important thing. Ron Walker, technical analyst, thinks the top is in. We're at resistance levels and looking for a market crash. Steve Miller, the harmonics analyst, is thinking the S&P has already peaked and will be turning by end of Jan or in the short term, which is according to his harmonics analysis. Blockchain backer thinks we're at a crossroad. Gold is pumping. Usually gold pumping is a no bueno for a lot of other things. Optical art, he's just shorting. He's just shorting, which means he's just betting that the market goes down. Game of Trades is saying that the window of market to rally is narrowing, and most likely this is a bear market rally, right? Everybody going from completely being terrified about FTX running away with everybody's money to, oh my God, is everything back? That's the classic, fake out process that happens in this. Benjamin Cohen thinks that long term for 2023, we're just going to be ranging, just blah, 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 which I kind of agree with this at this point as well. Although, just looking at the 1930s, because, that's when the last time this kind of stuff happened, there's like one final pump that I'm still waiting for. I still am leaning more towards that. Again, no sureties, no guarantee. This is just my opinion. But it seems like there's one opportunity for them to pump like $30 trillion into the markets over some excuse and use that as the final kind of exit liquidity and dump it on us. So I still think there's probably one more final run left before the big kahuna blows up and we go into full-blown World War III bunker time, save up your food and hide your kids and hide your wives. I mean, if you got multiple wives, hide all of them, right? Why not? Crypto Crew University, short-term bullish, but cognizant about bearish divergence, and long-term, very long-term, he's bullish. The medium term, which is like on the yearish scale, it doesn't seem too confident. Gareth Soloway, one of the guys who's been the rightest in this whole process, thinks this is a bear market rally, which means, it's a fake out. It's probably going to turn around on us and go down. It's funny, like Bitcoin is going to go down on us. Normally, I'm happy when somebody goes down on me, but Bitcoin's the only one that when it goes down on me, it doesn't feel so good, does it? Where are we at? Paul Barron thinks that this is a short squeeze. He has a positive view that this is a short squeeze of all time and all markets, not just crypto, and the bottom is in at 15K. He's long-term bullish. We're all long-term bullish. Anything over like the 2-year scale, we know where this thing is going. Not Bitcoin. This is something important I want to say. I think Bitcoin is now a trick that it's come to an end now that all the average people are told to focus on Bitcoin and hold it like it's God and gold. I think it's starting to peak out in many ways, and it's probably going to range for years and years and years, while the rest of the coins that are the actually useful computer code, computer networks in the background are going to be the ones that are valuable. So I think a lot of the other market coins are going to be very valuable. I think Bitcoin is going to break a lot of hearts by going down on people. Hustlepedia is bullish, but also looking for a pullback. So he thinks we've seen the bottom. Coin Bureau sees lower lows coming in the short to medium term for crypto, which means I definitely think I'm leaning towards there's likely worse times coming. I don't think people were scared enough of FTX. I think it was like kind of an intro. I think you need that final boo, scary, COVID's happening, world's blowing up type event to scare the shit out of people and keep them out. Altcoin Daily is short-term happy with the uptrend, but does not invalidate the long-term downtrend, which is saying that short-term it's good, but long-term it's probably going to go lower. And then Symmetry saying that the volume is weakening, and whale buying trends are not changing. So, again, mostly negative, mostly neutral or negative with some short-term positivity. We don't care about short-term. We even just go look at the long-term charts. So most of the traders and investors are risk off, which means most of them are looking at the world and going, wait, everything's melting down. We're probably headed for war. They haven't printed money. They are still raising rates and debt is getting more expensive. Countries are about to go insolvent. People are going insolvent. Do I think this is the time that assets are going to all just pump and go on this beautiful run? No, like people are poor. Countries are poor. Everybody's poor. At this point, FTX is poor, right? So is that something good that's going to happen? No. Now here's a big piece of news that came out this week. SWIFT, which is the system that allows dollars to be transferred between countries, has cut off Binance. Now, they're saying that they, as in Binance, are saying that they're probably going to cut off all crypto exchanges. It could just be that they just cut off Binance, or it could be that they're cutting off all crypto exchanges. But here's the trick. They're only cutting off transfers below $100,000. So above $100,000, you can still send it to crypto exchanges. Below $100,000, sorry, you're out. right? Now, at the same time, I'm getting reports from people that Bank of America is not letting them pull their money out, and they're trying to do more than $100,000. So, banks are starting to not let you take your money out, and oopsies, there's hackers taking money from those accounts. They're not letting you transfer it to crypto unless you're one of the big players. You should really figure out your shit, right? Get your money moved into your own possession. Use stable coins or use investment vehicles or use different countries. At least use the SWIFT system to get your money out before they just cut you off. That's what happened to the Russians. Russians had all this money. Everybody's rich. I'm a Russian billionaire and my money is in Russia. They say, no more SWIFT for Russians, which means no more dollars moving out of Russia for Russians, because they're Russians, because all of a sudden Russians aren't people. And then they were rushing to the bank to try to get their money out, and the bank was like, goodbye. Crypto exchanges here stopped accepting Russians across the world. They stopped accepting Russians overnight, and the ones who did not have their ducks in a row got their money stuck, and now they're having to sell it for pennies on the dollar. So make sure you have that figured out. So now let's look at the stats, the metrics on the Glassnode markets. So when we're looking at models, right, it's really important to realize that, when you're looking at 100 models, which means 100 different viewpoints on the market, when many of them start to line up, that's as good of a signal as we can get that, okay, these are the good times, which for me is good times to buy, not good times as in we're all pumping off to the moon. So here's a good one: investor and delta price models. Basically, when this metric is high, that's usually the bottom of the market. When this metric is super low, that's usually the bottom, the top of the market. Right now, this metric is about as high as it's been in history. So again, it's saying, hey, this isn't a bad time to buy. Even with all these pumping and all this stuff, when you really zoom out, we're at a really good point to buy. When you look at the percent supply and profit, the lower the percent the supply is in profit, the better time it is to buy. The more people that are in profit, the better time it is to sell. Does not take a rocket scientist to figure that one out. When this blue line high, sell. When blue line low, buy. Blue line pretty low. Blue line below like 55% is just wow. So right now, it was down to like 48% at one point. Now it just all of a sudden pumped up to like 57-ish%. But again, usually this happens. It'll go down, then it'll pump, then it'll go down, then it'll pump, then it'll go down again. So this process is a bear market, right? So here it was going down, but pumping along the way, and then eventually we had a final washout. So again, simple terms. Is it a good time to buy? It's been a good time to buy for a decent bit of time. It depends on your timeline, right? Is it going to go lower? Maybe, most likely, but that doesn't mean that, it's not a good time to start to enter the market. So realized profit and loss, same thing. Red, lots of people losing money. Green, lots of people making money. When lots of people are losing money, what do? You buy it. This is signaling lots of people have been losing money. It hasn't been a bad time to buy. More people will lose more money. At that point, buy it again. One of the reasons why I'm waiting is because I realized we don't know what they're going to do, right? So right now the world is kind of calm, things are functioning, banks are working-ish, a lot of banks are shutting down. But in this calm state, I just wait, because if there's a big event coming, I want to see the panic that people have after that event and then act from there instead of running into the markets now. Patience pays. We already have some good positions that we got back here. And that was a great time to buy. And now if it goes lower, we buy. If it just hangs out for a bit and all these events happen, we buy at that point. So just be patient, go live life. Another one to look at is this miner revenue. When miners have, when the PO multiple is super low, it's a good time to buy. It just pumped now, but I think it'll come back down, and it shall be a good time to buy. So then we're just going to close off on looking at the psychology of the market, because everything is psychology, right? So when you're looking at the psychology of the market, remember red is fear. Let's actually open this up properly. It'll take a while to buy. So the psychology of the market is really important, right? Red is capitulation, fear, sell at a loss, run for the hills. Oh my God, everything's falling apart. Orange is fear. On the way up, it's hope. So you notice people are getting pretty hopeful that this is the time that it turns around. But the point is, when it's down here in these red zones, that's when you want to buy, which means people are selling at a loss. They're super fearful. Now that we're back up in the orange, wait, chill out, hang out. Once we get back down into these reds, I think that'll be a good time to buy. The bottoms are usually signified by these kind of spikes, where when the real bottom comes, it's like bam, you just get like a huge spike of fear, and then we stay in that fear zone for some period of time to give you the opportunity to buy. Like this time it started around November and it went until March, right? So it gave you like 4 months. Here we've been down in this fear since like June of 2022. So it hasn't been a bad time to buy during those times, but of course everybody's waiting for it to go down. Now on the flip side of that, once we get up into the green, start to take profits, and if we ever get up into blue, which is like euphoria, greed, definitely take some solid profits on that. I like to look at Ethereum, because Ethereum is a little bit newer asset compared to Bitcoin. It gives you a little bit more of an honest perspective on things. But same thing, we were down in fear. We're back up to, we were down in capitulation. We're back up to that fear zone. I can't wait to get fans here. We have a lot of fans on YouTube, but we don't have any fans here, so I'm sweating my ass off. But they're on the way. The fans are on the way. So, yeah, psychology is not scared enough. I think we need more fear and terror. What would really make that happen? Cyber attacks or war or some BS to scare the shit out of people while this beautiful life happens, and now a clock happens at now every day, now and forever, and nobody's enjoying this part. So in closing, still fuckery continues, like we said last week. Still not much to do except for prep your money. Figure out if you can even take your money out of the bank account. Try it. If you got a ton of money in the bank account, go in and say, I want to move $1 million, or I want to move $100,000, and watch what your bank says. They'll be like, excuse me, sorry, what? Why? Let us call you back. Like, maybe, why do you want to do it? Maybe we've changed our regulations. Maybe something's happened. Like, go check it out, because soon you're going to be like, I want to move my money. And you're just going to hear, beep. Please wait while we figure out why our banking system has collapsed. So that's one of the biggest concerns right now. And people have asked, how do I move my money if SWIFT is shut down? We've been talking about this ad nauseum for a while, but one of the ways that we do it is you use your local exchange and not have to use SWIFT to take it from your bank and put it into a local exchange in the locality of your bank. And then you turn it into crypto and move it as crypto, and then you pull it out on the other side in whichever country you're in, and you use the local system to move your money. So there's ways to move it. We're going to talk about that here. If you have questions and you don't know what's going on, that's what we help people do, and that's what we've been doing for years for a reason. So get in touch with us, or don't. We don't really care. It's up to you to actually really take care of your shit. And if you don't, we'll see you on the other side. So, on a positive note, it is still now, and it's still today. So remember to hug your loved ones. Remember to appreciate everything that you have. Remember that everything that happens for a reason. And whatever is meant for you shall come to you. And whatever is not meant for you shall not come to you, my love. So relax. All right? Yeah, that's it. Thank you for your time. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully there's some new crazy news to share. Until then, bon voyage. And see you. Love, love, love.